post board, he's got a little bit of play. When you get to Legacy, and you're playing with Deathrite Shaman and Daze and Wasteland, and the matchup in Sultai Delver and Death and Taxes is just a little bit closer in terms of raw percentages than the matchup here, the play is very significant.
Well, both players are going to shuffle up here. Get ready for game number 1. It's green-red Tron for Davis. It's team or twin here for Anderson. Again, Davis should see the 1-0 next to him because he beat Todd in Standard. Now, we'll see if Todd can tie things up in Modern.
And we talked a lot about pressure, and when Jim lost game 1 of the Standard match, that was a lot of pressure on Jim for the entire match, because that's the format where he felt he had the best matchup, is why he chose Standard when he knew he was going to be on the draw. If he lost that match, it would be an uphill battle. There is a lot of pressure right now for Todd to win game number 1, because the post-board games are much more even than they are game 1. And if Todd fails to get this, he's got to beat a much more even matchup games 2 and 3, and then be on the draw for Legacy. So Todd, right now, this game matters a lot.
Typically, the way I've looked at the twin matchup in the past, be it blue-red, Jeskai, Teamer, whatever, is game 1. And I don't love associating percentages to things, but I feel like it's 90 twin in favor of twin. I'm just, okay, I lose. That's fine. Maybe I can get lucky, get a card on turn 3, something like that. That's fine. Then the sideboard games get a lot closer, as you mentioned, and it really depends on how much you want to bring to the table. If you want to load up on Rending Volleys, Nature's Claims, Spell Skites, Torpor Orbs, all that stuff, you can do that as a Tron player.
I don't think it's necessary. I don't just like talking about matchups in terms of percentages either. I don't know what the percentages roughly of twin is against Tron. Game 1, the problem is there's nothing you can do about their best draw.
Yes.
You are completely at the mercy of their best draw. You can win the games where they have normal hands or when they aren't able to assemble the combo quickly. But post-board, you do get to interact with their best draws. You get your copies of Rending Volley and Nature's Claim and Torpor Orb or whatever else. And don't discount Jim's copies of Spellskite in the main. He's got 3 of them, and if Todd can't answer them, that shuts down the combo as a route, and that can give Jim the breathing space necessary to get Tron into play and just start making large plays.
Now, Todd does have ways to get Spellskite off the battlefield. I mean, that copy of Roast, that'll get the job done. Cryptic Command can help bounce it, stuff like that. There are ways. As Jim will start off here with an Expedition map off of Nurse's Mind. Cataxian Probe will let us see Jim's hand. Todd probably wants to know, is there a Spellskite hanging out over there? It looks like the answer is no. You'll see a Chromatic Sphere, pardon me. Sylvan Scrying, Ancient Stirrings, Karn Liberated, Ghost Quarter, and a Grove of the Burn Willows. Somebody's looking to peel a Tron piece. I can respect it.
Well, Jim took a somewhat conservative route. The go for broke route there is to play the Chromatic piece.
Correct.
Because then you can Stirrings for a Tron piece, then play your map, and then be good to go.
Well, optimally, if he's going fully for broke, you play mine, you play Sphere. Mm-hmm. You crack it for a green, hope to peel a Tron piece, play the other Tron piece, play Scrying.
Okay.
That's your nut. If you do that, then we're doing Karn on turn 3. But it looks like Jim is basically saying, if I do draw a Tron priest, I can still do that with Expedition map. Now let's see if he draws one. It's an Eye of Ugin. Close.
It's a land.
Close. Pretty close. Now if I'm Jim here, if I'm in the Tron seat, I'm probably playing the Grove, casting a Scrying around counter magic because obviously my map is already on the battlefield. Don't have to worry about a counter spell. I know Todd's not playing some wonky card like Shadow of Doubt or Trickbind. So going to search up a tower. Good to go.
Got turn 4 Tron rolled up here.
Absolutely.
Plus a payoff in hand.
Yep. Todd's got a Tarmogoyf. Picked up a copy of Vendilion Click. Tarmogoyf's going to come across here for 2. Another Tarmogoyf.
This is the type of game Jim can win.
Yes.
No land drop here. On a path to a fast Karn.
Now, Todd does have Splinter Twin in hand. I'm not sure if he even has Deceiver Exarch just yet, but what we know is he does not have another land. Jim's draw for the turn was another copy of Sylvan Scrying.
Although the problem with Karn here is you see a third Tarmogoyf in Todd's hand. It's basically just going to be Vindicate.
Yep.
And it's likely to die on the way out. So that's not a full stabilization here.
If I'm Jim, I want to pivot a little bit now. I can start my turn with Stirrings.
Try to hunt towards Wormcoil Engine as being much better against the Tarmogoyfs.
That or a Spellskite. Either one, because if I brick, then I just play tower, crack my map, find the other piece, that's fine. Spellskite, O-Stone's interesting.
Nothing wrong with O-Stone here, because with the map and going for turn 4 Tron, that gets you at 8 mana.
Mm-hmm.
Man, when Tron's in the booth, man, you just perk up. you are just feeling it right now.
Well, I've played the deck way too much.
I know, I've watched.
Yeah, I've played the deck.
wa-
I've played the deck way too much for basically a year and a half.
I've watched it in action, and if you can't hear the air quotes around action,
Yeah.
they were there.
It's just a deck where once you start playing, it's all about just optimizing. Optimize. Your deck is built in such a way that you're consistently doing the same thing every single game, so you have to optimize that as best you can every single game. And game 1 against Twin it's no fun whatsoever. Deceiver Exarch the draw.
And if Todd just goes for third Tarmogoyf here, this Oblivion Stone is going to swallow him up.
Well, he gets to see the O-Stone from the Stirring, so there's no way, at least in my opinion, that Todd can just play Tarmogoyf here. Yeah, he's just going to pass the turn back after attacking for 4.
Passing is also a little bit rough. I mean, I guess it's the best thing he can do is either Tarmogoyf or nothing. So.
Yeah. Jim's going to crack a map. Might be time for a little power plant action here.
What's the noise you make when you assemble Tron? Everyone's got a noise.
I refuse to disclose that information. There are sounds.
Come on. Come on.
It's typically the Final Fantasy VII noise.
Oh, I would have gone with Colossus from the Marvel.
Yes, from the Marvel arcade game.
Yes.
It really just depends on my mood, honestly. Especially if I spike it off a draw step, then I'm just ridiculous. If I'm just naturally searching for it, it's not all that exciting.
Right. A lot less emotionally invested.
Yeah.
Get that 8th edition power plant image off the screen. Can we get the Antiquities one, please?
Boy, here we go.
That's not a Tron piece. What Jim has in play, those are Tron pieces.
Yep, there's a power plant.
There we go.
There it is. Patrick just reprimanding the directors from the booth.
That's not a Tron piece. If they showed an image of someone sitting on a street corner with a sign that said Urza's power plant, I would also ask them to take that off the screen.
If you're Jim now, I like going to O-Stone quite a bit. Now, how aggressive do you want to go with O-Stone? Tough to say. You're not underneath that much pressure at this stage.
I think that Jim is probably one missed land drop away, one more missed land drop away from stealing this first game.
Depends on what Todd's draw step is.
But
if Todd's draw step is Remand, he's doing all right. But I agree with you. I think Todd is in some real trouble right now.
He still has Exarch and Twin in hand, so
Yes.
there's a path. But if he misses this land drop...
Which he did. Electrolyze.
And he's up against it now. I mean, there's nothing he can really do except cast the other Tarmogoyf. And that's only if Jim doesn't activate the Oblivion Stone.
And Jim will blow the O-Stone. Tarmogoyf's down. But again, the issue here is, yeah, okay, play a Tarmogoyf. All right, play a Karn. Exile it. Go.
Yep.
And now Tron's got you in a horrible position because even if Todd doesn't play Tarmogoyf this turn, if I'm Jim, yeah, I'm just casting Karn. You have to have a Remand.
And he hasn't shown any real counter spells or reaction thus far.
No, he hasn't done anything yet. Jim will draw. Another copy of Karn.
And the second Karn here is a huge prize because now he can, if he wants to, he can kind of start going after the lands, try to cut that off. Todd will likely attack down the Karn. Then you can take care of the Tarmogoyf with the second Karn.
First things first, if I'm Jim here, I'm going to use that tower. I'm going to play Expedition Map, crack Expedition Map, get myself another tower. I already have Eye of Ugin in my hand. I've got access to green mana. So just getting a tower is just a free roll.
Right.
Just plus 3 mana.
The map itself costs 3 mana total, 1 to activate, 1 to play and 2 to activate. You get a tower that makes 3 mana, so it's basically a freebie as your land drop.
Let's see where he wants to go. He's going to go to a sphere effect first. He'll crack this. So a green mana floating. Picked up another copy of Karn.
There is just nothing wrong with 7 mana Stone right now, Stone Rain right now in Jim's position.
He's got a mana floating. He'll use that to cast Expedition Map. He's going to crack this here. Get himself a tower. Yep. That'll be 7. And now here's Karn. The only thing I don't like about 7 mana Stone Rain, I guess, is just because Goyf gets to kill it.
Well, he's got 2 Karns as backup now.
Yeah. and that'll be fine. Mountain the draw here for Todd. Now that Steam Vents is exiled from Karn.
But now Jim knows Todd doesn't have a remand, or it's unlikely as a remand. And any land had to have been the draw step.
Yes.
So he's free to run this back next turn. And if he spends time here just stone raining Todd a couple times, he's got a path to Eye of Ugin getting Emrakul.
Yep.
Or Ulamog,
Indeed.
which is 2 stone rains.
You're right.
He's the king of stone rains. Karn is like the prince of stone rains. Ulamog is the king.
You have a real problem with land destruction. You and land destruction.
No, Wizards R&D in 1995 had a real problem with land destruction. I'm just here calling matches, man.
And Jim going to set the mine aside along with the Grove. Might be time for Sylvan Scrying. Going to give Todd a life here. There's Scrying. That's going to resolve. Again, Jim knows the coast is clear. If Todd had a remaining, he would have cast it by now. Again, remember, Jim already has his copy of Eye of Ugin in his hand. That was his draw step earlier in the game, so free to search up towers. You know what your opponent's working with from a deck list perspective, so you don't have to worry about stuff like Ghost Quarter or any of your lands dying. And right now, Jim with a mana floating. Here's 7 mana. Karn. Todd's deck list, no mana leaks.
I thought we were going to have to save this kind of commentary for when we got to the legacy portion with the wastelands and such.
Ah, yeah, where those would be flying back and forth. There goes Breeding Pool. There's a tower. Pass the turn back. Yeah, Jim has not played land yet. Todd with just a basic mountain. Serum Visions.
Nice.
Not so much. There goes Karn. Pass the turn back. Pyroclasm. Seven mana. Time for some more carnage.
Don't stop a rockin'.
Mountain down. Eye of Ugin with the necessary mana to activate it. Todd will draw a card. Yep. He'll take his Tarmogoyf home. Jim Davis going to win game number 1 here over Todd Anderson. Green-Red Tron is up a game here over Teamer Twin, and it is huge for Jim to break serve there.
Yeah, now he gets a real sideboard. Todd's got to pick up 2 games in a row, and that's just to get to the legacy portion where Jim gets to be on the play.
And again, that's the kind of pressure that Tron will put on you because it consistently is able to do that sort of thing. The question is me casting Karn relevant? Warm Coil Engine, is that relevant if I'm doing that on turn 3 or turn 4? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. In game 1 against Twin Decks, typically the answer is no to both of those questions. In that particular game, with how Todd's draw lined up, the answer was a resounding yes.
Yes, and a lot of that had to do with Jim picking up some extra copies of Karn in those middle turns there. If he's only on the 1 Karn, he gets a Tarmogoyf off the table. One of the other Tarmogoyfs takes care of it, and play resumes for a long time. Todd has opportunities to draw lands. But with Jim just being able to play him as 7 mana Stone Rains, Todd never got off the ground.
To the sideboards we're going to go. We'll start with Todd Anderson. He's got a Grimlock Mancer is a Static Caster, 2 Ancient Grudge, a Counterflux, Dispel, 2 Negates, a Rending Volley, 2 Twisted Image, 2 Pia and Kiran Nalar, a Keranos God of Storms, and a Vandal Blast.
So I'm assuming he wants some mixture here of the counter spells. Even something like Counterflux feels in play to me here because Jim only has so many threats in the deck. I like Ancient Grudge as a lot of what Jim's doing hubs around artifacts. And I even think the Negates are acceptable here. Twisted Image also might come in since Jim's got those main deck spell skites.
Yeah, I think that Todd has enough in his main deck here to sideboard out. Enough stinkers. Grimlothmancer, get out of my deck. Dismember, get out of my deck. Dispel, get out of my deck. That's 3 cards.
Electrolyze.
That's 4. Some number of Lightning Bolts, so sometimes you get an aggressive plan. Roast is 5. Get that out of here. Maybe get Taxidium Probes. Well, you would never want to board that card out.
Yeah, come on.
It's your favorite card. Sorry. But, I mean, those are cards that can easily go. Grudges come in. Flux should come in. Negates should come in, I think. Those are all cards from the Tron side I don't really want to play against. The Images, too, because he has so many spell skites.
Right, exactly.
On Jim's side, 2 Crucible Worlds, 3 Relic of Progenitors, 2 Thragtusk of Boil, 3 Nature's Claims, 2 Rending Volleys, a Pyroclasm, and a Ghost Quarter.
So the obvious stuff here in the 3 Nature's Claims and the 2 Rending Volleys, that gives Jim some interaction with the combo. I think the 3 copies of Relic of Progenitus are also reasonable to bring in here. You're playing against a deck with Snapcaster Mage, Tarmogoyf, and Ancient Grudge in the sideboard. And what do you think about the 1 Boil? It is a very good answer to Deceiver Exarch.
Response.
Response boiled. We found that out when we were playing the Turns deck. It was also a very good response to Dictate of Krufix.
Yeah, our lands were dead in our 22 island deck. Yeah.
So I think the Nature's Claims, the Running Volleys, those are obvious anti-twin measures. The 3 relics, given how much Todd has going on in the graveyard, I think those are also supposed to come in. And the Boil is maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, it's tough. Relic is pretty good here, so that's 3 cards. The Boil could be 4. Nature's Claims are 5, 6, and 7. Reddening Volley 8 and 9. Does he have 9 cards to take out in Jim? Pyroclasms are 3. Warm Coil Engines, maybe.
With all the artifact removal and the twisted images, do you consider bailing on the Spellskites? They seem unlikely to be good post-board.
I will say I hate Spellskite against this deck. I actually hate Spellskite kind of in this particular format. I'm alone on an island there, but against Twin, when I moved forward playing Tron, I actually just stopped boarding in cards like Torpor Orb, Spellskite, stuff like that, because especially this build, they have grudges. I mean, you don't know if they have you don't know if they have stuff like Vandal Blast, but your artifacts are not safe. So as a result, you're going to keep an opening hand where you have a Spellskite and go, yeah, I drew my sideboard card or my ace against Twin. They're going to go, yeah, grudge it. That doesn't matter. All the time.
Yeah, so I think that it's reasonable to consider cutting the Spellskites here, although because the card is in the deck in part for the Twin matchup, a lot of people are just not going to be able to let it go.
Yeah, going into Grand Prix Pittsburgh, I actually started cutting that card entirely, and it actually took some heavy convincing for people to have me play it that weekend in my sideboard, and it was not particularly good. So if I'm Jim in his chair right now, I would board out Spellskite, especially when I see Twisted Image too. Get that thing out of here. But we'll see how he wants to sideboard here as he is currently up a game. He is 1 game away from being the Players' Champion, $20,000.
And he's also 1 game away from picking up his first match win in Modern.
Very true. Very true. Green Red tried to not treat him well in the Modern portion of this tournament. Well, these players are going to shuffle up here for game number 2. We'll talk about the holiday sale that Star City Games is having right now, December 1st to January 1st, and somehow this month's almost over, up to 50% off select promos. This particular special is going to end on Monday at 10:59, but we got new stuff all month long.
Yeah, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. New sales are updated to the website, so make sure to be checking out throughout the week. Up to 50% off selected promos right now. You see them on the screen. There's some more hilarious ones on the website, so just go and check it out. Also, all month long, there'll be deals on stocking stuffers like sleeves and deck boxes and extended art lands, so make sure to be checking back to the website every single day, Monday through Friday, to check out the new deals.
Game number 2 about to be underway. You talk about some of the nicer promo cards available right now. Why don't you give us an idea? See if the powers that be can find those for you.
We got Windseeker Centaur. That was like $2 instead of $3.
That's Windseeker Centaur.
Yeah.
Vigilance.
2/2 Vigilance for RR1.
Nice.
Not great against Minotaurus, which was the staple, at the time for RR1, but better in some other matchups.
This was a promo in who knows what.
It was either Arena or you mailed in a book coupon or something they don't do anymore. There's Sewers of Estark that was on sale as well. You get for 4 mana, something happens to a block that becomes worse. There we go. A target creature is attacking cannot be blocked until end turn play. Okay, so 4 mana make a guy unblockable until the end turn. A target creature is blocking, you fog that particular combat. That's 4 mana. That's available through the book as well. I don't know if they have any sales on Nalathi Dragon right now, which I believe you had to go to Origins in 1995 to get. At the time was very expensive. I think it's quite a bit worse than Dragon Whelp, if memory serves, which was never knocking down any doors and constructed. Anywho, there's a lot of sweet promos, and make sure to be checking them out because those did not make the graphic image somehow with the foil Ugin and the Judge promo Windswept Heath and all the sneak attack and all the other $100 ones.
We'll have to talk with our graphic design about that.
Exactly.
I'll get on top of that. You know where you can get those.
StarCityGames.com.
Game number 2 about to be underway. Todd Anderson will be on the play here. See if he can find a better hand. Again, only 5 creatures to combo with 3 Splinter Twins. Both players going to keep. Stomping Ground is where Todd's going to start.
Before you accuse me of joking, those cards are actually on sale. I looked on my day off. It's a good roster down there.
Jim's got at least 2 Tron pieces, Power Plant and mine. And now an Expedition map. All right, Tron online on turn 3.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if Todd's got something like a Vandal Blast or a Grudge, get that map out of here. Tarmogoyf is how he's going to pressure him. To Davis will go. Worm Coil Engine the draw.
a nice little payout here, and I think that Anderson does not have the combo rolled up at this point, which means like something like Worm Coil Engine is a real card.
Yes, very much so. 2 Tron pieces, 1 to go. Breeding Pool, the draw. There's Wooded Foothills. See, Todd's brought in the Ancient Grudges, no surprise there. Tarmogoyf up to a 1-2. Here's a attack for 1. Just a baby Tarmogoyf right now. And all Anderson can do is just pass the turn back. Now, he does have a Deceiver Exarch at the very back of his hand.
But no combo, I believe. Remand and Cryptic Command, the leftovers.
Yep. Still pretty good leftovers. Tron does not like playing against either one of those cards. It is unpleasant, to say the least. Now, here's where things get interesting, because if you're a Tron player, your opponent's got 3 mana. That could be Pestermite, that could be Deceiver Exarch, obviously. And depending on what's in Jim's hand, and we have to imagine he's sideboarded in such cards as Rending Volley and Nature's Claim, he might have some interest in searching up Grove of the Burn Willows here as opposed to the next Tron piece.
Yes. It depends if he has another Tron piece. It depends if he has interaction in hand. The problem with getting Grove is that if Anderson has a Deceiver Exarch, he forces the issue right away.
Correct.
Because he's going to tap your 1 source of red mana and force you to use a Rending Volley straight away. So you can't really do it as a bluff because Todd's going to force your hand immediately.
It just depends on what's in Jim's hand and how he wants to go about playing it. Again, if he's got stuff like Rending Volley, then Grove might be attractive. If he just says, you know what, I'm going to overpower you, I'm going to go get a tower and let's see what you can do, then he searches for that. Now, if he's searching for a Grove, what also gets interesting here, too, is, okay, I'm Todd, I just saw you search for a Grove. I could Exarch in the upkeep. No, I'm good. And Jim just goes, okay, tower thing.
Right.
So he might be forced to just go, okay, I'm going to Exarch you no matter what right now.
The problem is that if you go ahead and Exarch right now, then you get in the spot where Jim can hang back with a red land in play and say, okay, now you have to commit a Splinter Twin to the table before I have to use a Rending Volley.
Yep.
Also, Jim has just drawn Boil, so I have perked up.
There's only 1 island on the battlefield.
I know, but there's the potential for more.
Okay.
He's got to get to 4 mana to do anything.
That's true. Just saying, Boyle not looking particularly effective right now, given your excitement level.
1 land already, and other lands are implied.
Looks like Jim is going to go to the Grove here. Going to give Todd a life. And here's Ancient Stirrings. Rending Volley among those cards. Can't take that one, though.
Yeah, that is sort of a sad thing about the Tron sideboard, is your most important cards here are Nature's Claim and Rending Volley, and you can't find it with your best selection spell in Ancient Stirrings.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the issue when you play against twin decks that have access to Ancient Grudge. Is your best cards would typically be artifacts, like Torpor Orb and Spellskite and stuff like that, and you can find those with Ancient Stirrings, and then they just blow them up with Ancient Grudge. So you actually want to go towards cards that aren't artifacts to try to beat them, like Nature's Claim, like Rending Volley, but then you can't find them with Stirrings. So you're pulled in multiple directions.
But you still have a lot of your artifacts naturally cantrip, so you do get more looks at them than the average deck does, but it's unfortunate there's no way to pair it all up.
See what Jim wants to select here. He might be thinking Expedition Map to work his way towards Tron. He could be thinking Chromatic Star, which is what he's going to select, because Star does a really nice job of being able to give you green mana for Nature's Claim or red mana for Rending Volley while only having access to colorless mana. So even though it looks innocent enough, it is anything but that. And I guess there's no guarantee this resolves. And he's just going to cash it in for Stirrings. Okay.
All right, shields are down.
Hey, very much so.
Anderson's got a window here to land the combo. We know he has 1 piece, but not the other.
Well, as I say, you do draw a card every turn here in this fantastic game that we play. Tarmogoyf up to a 3/4 given the artifacts. Relic of Progenitus can slow Tarmogoyf down.
And I like taking the Relic here because Jim is already dead on the table to the combo. So he kind of has to ignore it for the time being. That gives him an answer to the Tarmogoyf in play and potentially other graveyard-oriented things down the line like Snapcaster Mage and Ancient Grudge.
Exarch will come in on the end step. Mountain was the draw for the turn. Breeding Pool will be the land for the turn.
There is some pressure, though, on Anderson to find the kill pretty fast because Davis has Ulamog in hand.
Yeah.
And Ulamog triggers. It's not predicated on resolution whether or not that happens. If Anderson loses the Goyf and the Deceiver Exarch, his hand's just some counter spells. It's not worth a whole lot.
The first question here is, does Jim Davis have an Urza's Tower? Again, remember that map earlier in the game. He used that to find a Grove of the Burn Willows. Now, it looks like he has a basic forest in his hand. And he's gone through quite a few cards with those Ancient Stirrings. There was not a tower in there. Now, he does have that Boil, and there was a second island played.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, there sure was.
Wasn't going to mention it. Wanted one of the viewers to be surprised when that happened. I do like the idea of boiling him in response to a lethal twin. Just let him know.
How's on the upkeep sound?
Love it.
Yeah. Well, Cryptic Command's going to counter that.
This is not a bad way to at least get some mileage out of the boil that isn't great right now, and something to do with the turn.
Todd too smart, though, because counter draw is what a lot of people, I think, would do there, but counter bounce your Tron piece means that I don't have to worry about what you're going to do the next turn. First of all, your Boil is gone for the game. You have one in your sideboard. There are no more I have to worry about. You don't have anything like Snapcaster Mage or any of that nonsense to rebuy it, and you're 2 turns away from Tron at the earliest.
And you basically get to draw a card anyway because Jim's turn next turn it amounts to very little. There's nothing for him to follow up with. Maybe he has some artifacts that he can put on the battlefield and make some progress that way, but bouncing lands, I know that's something that Patrick Dickman, who is
so much with Team
in this matchup, I know that he's a big fan of going that route.
Yep. I had the unfortunate pairing against him in top 4 of a Magic Online PTQ. Unfortunately, because he plays Twin real well, and he uses those Cryptic Commands quite well. Gonna head back Anderson's way. Again, for Todd, Splinter Twin is what he is looking for.
Jim just right on point with that relic activation.
I'm not going to let that get by. But Jim has left up Grove of the Burn Willows, which again can represent Nature's Claim or Rending Volley.
Well, I think Anderson has drawn a Gitaxian Probe this turn, so he's going to be able to check out, see if the coast is clear.
Oh, take a little look-ski-poo, huh?
See what's up.
Hello.
Assuming this hand's a mess.
That's not great. 2 Wormcoil Engines, an Emrakul, an Ulamog, an Oblivion Stone, and a Ghost Quarter.
But Anderson's clock is very slow. If Davis can get to the Tron piece in time here, and Anderson doesn't find the combo, there's some hope.
Yep, here's Serum Visions. Land for the turn. Here comes Tarmogoyf, along with the Deceiver Exarch. Anderson will sacrifice this Misty Rainforest.
Todd here being a little cagey. I think that he could have just played the Serum Visions here before combat looking for help. I think that he assumes that this attack right here is going to be enough for Davis to use the Relic, because he needs to draw cards anyway. His hand's kind of a mess, and it shrinks the Tarmogoyf, and then he can follow up with a Sorcery post-combat, start getting his graveyard refilled.
Yep. Curious if Jim's willing to take this amount of damage here if he just wants to, because his hand's a mess too.
Yeah, I think he's so likely to cycle the Relic here anyway, he might as well save himself the points.
Smart play there by Todd.
Heads up play by Todd.
Now I'll cast Serum Visions. Start to rebuild Tarmogoyf. Draw a card. Snapcaster Mage. Lightning Bolt and Exarch. Interesting.
The game is looking a little damage racy, and
Oh, yeah. Well, it's actually just over next turn.
it's an incident in the graveyard.
Yeah, plus Snapcaster plus Bolt. So he can just go Bolt, Snap, Bolt, and then attack for what looks like pretty close to lethal. Because that's 6 by itself. Goyf will be... Looks like it'll be a 1 and a 1. It's pretty close. It looks like it might be over next turn.
And Remand to swallow up the turn as well,
Yeah.
just for good measure.
This is how he wanted game 1 to go, even though he didn't find a combo, by the way. Not going to go with Snapcaster Mage right now on Serum Visions. Pick up a copy of Lightning Bolt, take a look at the next couple of cards. There's a Splinter Twin on top of the deck along with the Remand. Yeah, I might keep those.
Yep, that'll play.
Yeah.
I think Anderson now has him covered in two directions.
Yep.
Going to be hard to beat the board and beat the combo.
Well, it's not going to be easy. Davis will draw. Bonfire of the Damned. Not quite.
Nope.
Ancient Stirrings.
Also, Bonfire's not even good here.
Yeah.
The XR just kills him.
Also, he can remand it. Yeah, whatever.
Right.
It all goes back to that decision a little bit earlier in the game for Jim. If he was supposed to search for the tower instead of the Grove and just try to make it rain with huge threats, Warm Coil Engine, Karn, whatever, and try to go that route or try to play a little bit of a longer game. And you can see right now, the route of playing a longer game not working particularly well.
Yep, kind of getting beat on both fronts here as the damage is adding up and he's giving Todd a lot of time to find the combo.
Remand. Gonna counter that Sylvan Scrying momentarily. And Todd knows he's got this one sewn up. Jim can't really do a great job of bluffing Nature's Claim or Rending Volley at this stage because Tarmogoyf is providing pressure, as are cards like Lightning Bolt and all that stuff. So Jim will play the Sylvan Scrying. I think we'll see him search for a tower, and after he does search for a tower and play it, I think Todd will show him the grip. Yep. And there's a Splinter Twin. Jim says, I am beat. I don't even think Jim has any stuff to cycle here, any of that stuff. Yep, we're all done here. Todd Anderson's going to win game number 2 here over Jim Davis. Teamer Twin, Green-Red Tron, getting ready here for game number 3. Big thing for Jim here in this instance, he's on the play.
Yes.
Plays a huge role in this matchup.
Because assembling turn 3 Tron on the draw and then doing something, you can still often just get killed by the combo. On the play, you get out on the front foot quite a bit because the Twin deck isn't threatening to do anything to you too bad until the 4th turn.
We'll take a look at the sideboards here one more time. For Todd Anderson, Grim Lavamancer is a Static Caster, 2 Ancient Grudge, a Counterflux, a Dispel, 2 Negates, a Rending Volley, 2 Twisted Image, 2 Pia and Kieran Nalar. A Kieran's got a Storms and a Vandal Blast.
And we got a sense of what was going on there. At the minute the Ancient Grudges are in, there's a lot of cards that are on the fence. I think Anderson has enough dead cards where he can bring in some of the more narrow stuff there, like Negates, the Twisted Images, even something like Counterflux could potentially come in.
The other side of things, 2 Crucible Worlds, 3 Relic Regenerators, 2 Thragtusk, a Boil, 3 Nature's Claims, 2 Rending Volleys, a Pyroclasm, and a Ghost Quarter. You saw some of the sideboard cards there for Jim. Attempted to resolve the Boil. Anderson was able to take care of that with a Cryptic Command.
Yeah, it looks like he brought in all the stuff you'd anticipate. The Nature's Claims and the Rending Volleys are his anti-combo measures. The Relic shuts down all the graveyard stuff like Tarmogoyf and Snapcaster Mage, and then the Boil, because it's great.
Well,
because of islands.
Anderson going to take a moment here to refocus, which gives us a good time to actually go over the schedule here for Season 1 of the SCG Tour. Now, we were in Las Vegas last week, and that's where things really did kick off. And got to give a shout-out to Brian Braun-Duin, beating Steve Rubin in the finals last weekend in Las Vegas and getting his first title finally on the Open Series.
Long time coming, to say the least. Once we're done with this event, we start January with a back-to-back Modern slate in Cincinnati and Charlotte, then back-to-back Standard in Atlanta and Columbus. Then we have the regional championships, StarCityGames.com/regionals for more information. We just announced the venues this weekend, so make sure to check out the regional championship closest to you. Modern in Louisville, a Legacy Open in Philadelphia. After that, Standard Opens in Indianapolis and Baltimore before the Season 1 Invitational in Columbus, Ohio. Standard and Modern as the invitational formats, April 15th through the 17th.
All of our Opens. That's our main event, of course, each of those weekends. If you do sign up, you will get the Kitchen Links playmat, a cat dumping milk on itself, some cats hanging out as well.
You get it. You know what the joke is.
Yeah, see, it's a joke. See, it's funny. See. Sign up for an Open. It's simple, of course. Just like Tassipur and the rest of the gang. Free limited edition playmat with entry into any Season 1 event on the SCG Tour next year.
Get it right on site. Don't have to wait. Not limited to the first number of people who register. And you can get this any number of times. Every Open you come to, get another copy.
Season number 1 of the SCG Tour going to be underway to kick off the year in Cincinnati. Looking forward to that show. Going to be joined by Craig Kremple, someone you know very well. Someone who the viewers at home may not be that familiar with.
A good friend of mine. We go quite a ways back to our, I would say, even teenage years. I believe the first time that I met Craig was when he was the runner-up at the New Jersey State Championships, losing to his good friend John Sani, playing Snake Tongue,
Ooh, yes.
the Mystic Snake Flame Tongue Kavu 3-color good stuff deck.
Oof. I just have goosebumps thinking about Snake Tongue. That's when I was young. I didn't have a clue what was going on, but I loved that deck.
Very accomplished Magic player. Highlights of his career include a 9th place finish at Pro Tour Yokohama, where he thought he was drawing in the top 8 and then came in 9th on tiebreakers.
Awkward.
2 Grand Prix top 8s. Runner-up Rookie of the Year that same year as Yokohama, losing the Rookie of the Year race to now Hall of Famer Masashi Ueso, and a United States national champion back when that tournament existed.
I'm sure quite a few Grand Prix top 16s and all that jazz as well.
Yeah, consistent money finishes, was on the Pro Tour for a number of years, and because he's from New Jersey, has a lot of the same stories and knowledge of personalities that I do.
Well, it should be fun to have him in the booth. Be joined by Nick Miller as well in Cincinnati for a little bit of modern action. So looking forward to that. And, of course, we'll have some more shows, some more announcements as far as commentary is concerned before we do close out the year here. So look forward to all of that stuff on StarCityGames.com, as it looks like Todd is back in the feature match area. So down there we are going to go. Get ready here for game number 3. It could be our last one of the tournament.
Could be. Jim's got to feel very good about the position that he's worked himself into right now. He's got to. I would imagine he considers this game house money. I mean, of course he'd like to win it, but he took this format when he was on the draw because I think he felt I don't have a very good shot in this match, and I want to be on the play for the closer one, which is Legacy. He's on the play for game number 3. He can win the whole tournament right here, and even in the worst case scenario, he gets to be on the play for the Legacy match.
The question, of course, is just how does he want to sideboard now? How does he want to kind of line up his deck, given he knows exactly what Todd is working with, and he's seen how he's configured things a little bit.
It's an interesting set of circumstances here because we're looking at 9 cards he's looking at bringing in here. He's got the 3 relics, the boil, and the 5 anti-combo cards, and the running volleys, and the nature's claims. The deck doesn't really have that much space. I suppose you could cut some of your cyclers for the relics because they're sort of providing the same thing. But with Rending Volleys and Nature's Claims in the deck, I would feel pretty rough about cutting Chromatic Stars and Chromatic Spheres because that allows you to interact with the combo even if Todd is attacking your Grove of the Burn Willows with the various Pestermites and Deceiver Exarchs.
Those cards, the Chromatic Stars, the Chromatic Spheres, uncuttable. Can never leave the deck. Now, when I play against Twin, I typically cut the Worm Coil Engines. I don't like Spellskite because of all the artifact removal that they have. Pyroclasm can go. That's an easy 9 for me. And the reason is again, Worm Coil Engine's not really going to do a lot because you have an opponent who's got multiple copies of Ancient Grudge. They have Cryptic Commands or Mans. They're killing you with infinite damage. You just want to get yourself to Ulamog or Emrakul. Oh, Jim Davis letting our spotter know that this pile shuffle, Patrick, is for you. How do you feel about that?
I have no feelings. I have nothing to add to this.
No words there?
I'm not going to give Jim the satisfaction of mentioning how big of a waste of time it is for everyone for him to do that. I won't give it to him.
Perhaps he could indulge in another pile shuffle here.
Yeah.
One could only hope.
How about you reorganize your cards in some other even slower way? Why don't you just drop them on the floor and pick them back up and present?
Give it a wash.
Just throw it in the air.
Yeah. I'm hoping he does now. Oh, man, I thought he was going to pile it.
Yeah, one more wash.
Yeah. What is on the house, after all?
Right.
These players getting ready here for game number 3. Jim Davis did win the standard match between the two. Remember, this is best of 3 matches, not best of 3 games. So if Todd's able to win this match, we'll go into Legacy, and that'll be Death and Taxes on Anderson's side and Saltide Delver on Davis's side. Let's see if Davis likes his opening hand. A lot of Groves over there. Looks like 2 towers as well. Relic of Progenitus, too.
I believe I spot an Ulamog.
It's an expensive card.
Oh, maybe that's why Jim had to re-sleeve or something. Maybe he only owns maybe he had to switch the Ulamogs over.
Yeah, probably.
That would explain it.
You just thought about that now?
Yeah. Well, I'm used to polluted deltas being in multiple decks.
Okay.
Monastery Mentors being in multiple decks. Rarely is it Ulamog.
Sometimes you just want a fresh set of sleeves, man. I love new sleeves. It's my favorite. Both players are going to take a mulligan here.
I like them too, but if I had to guess what were the biggest wastes of money in my entire life, like in the aggregate, add it all up, what wasted the most money, it's probably throwing out usable sleeves and buying new ones.
I'm right there.
Really high on the list
I'm right
of
up
places
there with you.
I've wasted money.
Because I just love the fresh new sleeve feel. So when I started playing Magic and I started playing competitive Magic in my local store in Ohio, I didn't buy boosters. I just bought new sleeves.
Yeah.
Because I just loved it. And they come out with new colors and I just get hooked again. And now I can only imagine when I was a kid now because they got all these cool designs.
I'm not a big fan of the cool designs. I never was.
I know, you're like 100. You don't like
Well,
fun things.
I guess we're probably just disagreeing on the definition of cool.
I suppose that's the issue at hand. Both players are going to take a look at 6 cards.
Were you ever a pink Dragon Shields guy?
Yeah.
Of course you were.
What kind of question is that? Yeah.
You know, and for those of you at home who's wondering what that is, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Backwards hat.
You met me wearing a medal at a Grand Prix. What kind of stupid question is that?
Yeah, that's true.
I think I was using pink sleeves at that Grand Prix.
Probably.
See if Jim's going to keep this 6. Todd taking a long look at his, too. One thing that Tron does benefit from, the new mulligan rule.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Much better for decks that are trying to kind of lick and stick 2 cards together. Twin also is a benefit of this, but
I missed it twice at Grand Prix Pittsburgh. Maybe that's why I went 2 and 3. Maybe. Tough to say. Davis going to take a mulligan.
that's the cost of the rule there is it's not really intuitive. It's not a natural rule. It's a good fix to make sure that more games are, both players are kind of doing stuff because some games involving mulligans without the scry are kind of dead ends, but it does get missed a fair bit because it is not a rule you would assume exists.
Well, I just don't play very much Magic anymore because I'm so busy doing this.
Magic Online, watch you play all the time, and that's automated there, so that's not an excuse.
And sometimes I get confused when the card just shows up. And then I remember, oh, right, there's a new mulligan rule.
Right. Yeah, the first time it happened, I thought it was a bug. Like, why is this Wooded Foothills just on my screen all of a sudden? But just the rule.
Yeah, do you want to keep it? So for Jim, now it's 5 cards. And I've troned on turn 5.
Mm-hmm. Some lands and some spells.
Yeah, probably keepable. You want a 5 guy get a little lucky. Take a little look here, old Jim. He's got 2 Urza's Mines. Huh, there's a Chrome Sphere. Pass a turn back. Anderson, play a Steam Vents. For Jim, another Urza's Mine. 3 of a kind. Relic of Progenitus.
Not quite the point of the deck.
No. There's Relic. Another Mine. Smart play by Jim. Remove your chromatic piece. Get an artifact out of the graveyard. Take that Tarmogoyf. Big jerk. Sulfur Falls and a passing of the turn. Sylvan Scrying the draw. Davis might be going to Spellskite here this turn. He'll start by playing a mine. Yep, Todd says that resolves, as if he could counter the land in the first place. There's a Remand. He'll draw. Yep, relic that. Back to Anderson we go. Picked up a Tarmogoyf, now he has a copy of Counterflux.
I was expecting it to come in just because Davis's deck is so light on threats that even Cancel is a fine sideboard card.
It's very good in the matchup. There's Misty. There's a breeding pool in there somewhere.
Well, this is a heads-up play from Anderson. I think he's getting a stomping ground here because he knows about the boil.
Yeah, that's smart.
I think he had islands in his hand he could have put on the battlefield, but he wants to protect himself a little bit from boil because he's tapping low.
Don't want to get got.
It's a bad way to go out. Bad way to go out of the Players' Championship.
It would be tough.
Getting your lands boiled away.
Davis will draw. Picked up a copy of Ancient Stirrings.
Well, the Sphere, there's a path here.
Well, he's got a Stirrings and a Scrying.
Yeah.
So there is a way to work towards Tron. And, of course, that's step 1 in the matchup.
In contrast to what he has right now.
Which is rubbish. All right. How about a green mana? Draw a card. Ulamog.
All right. Well, got something to play to.
Got the payoff. All right, got the payoff.
All he needs is running Tron pieces.
It's very true. And he's already got a Scrying in hand, so he can cast that.
I mean, that's a funny draw, but if things break the right way, this could be very good.
Here's Stirrings. Ghost Quarter. Karn. Sphere. Wormcoil Engine. Tower of Power.
There we go.
Got to Tower, get lucky. That's what it's all about with this deck. Hasn't even played land yet this turn.
He basically has Ulamog rolled up for next turn. It's already...
Oh, you think the power plant's just already on top of the deck?
It's already ready to go. And he's got a relic, too.
Yeah, that's an extra draw step. Yep.
2 draws.
Yep. There it is. There's the Tower of Power. My favorite part about this deck is when you just realize you're resigned to getting lucky. But it's all part of it.
The same thing is true of many decks in Magic at various points.
Yes. With this deck, it feels kind of highlighted, but you know.
More pronounced than with
Yeah,
most.
just, I don't know. Just got to get there with my draw step. See what happens. Anderson will draw a copy of Serum Visions. Todd's just hoping that Jim doesn't get lucky. And in comes Tarmogoyf. Get that artifact out of here. Only going to take 2. What's the follow-up here for Anderson? Serum Visions, perhaps? Yep. Draw card. Picked up a Scalding Tarn. Top 2, 2 lands. Bottom shelf pretty quick.
So the counter spells are good for Anderson, of course.
Yeah.
Especially with Jim on 5 cards. But if Jim has a path here to the Eldrazi's, those counter spells don't provide any defense.
Is Anderson going to play a Pestermite? Nope. Draw a card. Forest. That allowed him scrying.
That's not bad.
I've seen worse. Get the opportunity to play Spellskite this turn. Forest plus scrying. Some options.
We got a hand. I mean, the Sylvan Scrying's got to be good enough to counterflux at this point. Or negate or whatever. For as bad as this opening was for Jim, on 3 copies of the same Tron piece on 5 cards, if Anderson doesn't have the combo and this game is likely to go on for a long time, he's got a lot of draws to fix this and then start doing some very powerful things.
There's a Forest. And here's a Scrying. Does this resolve? Negate says no. But he's got the opportunity now to slide into Spellskite.
Spellskite is a great blocker here, especially with the Relic in play.
Yep, get a little time. Pass that turn back over to Todd.
Last card in hand is Ulamog.
Powerful.
Well, if he gets to that Tron piece that he needs, even with the counterflux taking care of it,
You still get the trigger. Here comes the Tarmogoyf.
and then there's a lot of big draws from that point. And Anderson's only got so many counters.
A Relic. Gotta take care of a card here. There comes Serum Visions. Still sorcery in the graveyard thanks to Ancient Stirrings. Sylvan Scrying. Obviously a free attack here from Todd. Sending the 3-4 into the 0-4, but he's got a Lightning Bolt too. See if Jim will block or not.
If Jim is willing to block, he probably has to commit to sacrificing the Relic. Because the possibility of Lightning Bolt is so high here, and Jim's really leaning on this to defend himself against the combo while he waits for help, either assembling Tron or some other way to interact.
So the problem here is that even if he does sacrifice if Jim blocks, he loses a Spellskite no matter what.
Because the Bolt deals 3, and the Goyf will then have 1 power.
Correct. So no matter what happens, he'll lose it, assuming that Todd has a bolt. So
This game is being played at a slow enough pace right now that I like Jim's patience. He's leaning on the Spellskite that protects him for a long time from the combo, and as long as that Relic's in play, Todd's clock is pretty slow.
let's go back over to Davis. The upkeep. Is it Pestermite time? No. Power plant.
So carry the 1, and I think got a little something going.
Now the question is, what do you exile?
The lands that you can't get with Boyle. Set the stage.
Yeah. Here's an activation. Because I quite clearly love casting Ulamog right now. It's the only thing Jim's got going on.
Especially because you're protected from the combo. You don't even have to worry about, all right, Pastor might untap, kill you realistically.
Mm-hmm. It's just tough because what do you want to Ulamog in this situation? You can take care of Tarmogoyf, but you've kind of got that checked with your Relic and your Spellskite. You can take care of both of the blue-red lands in Sulphur Falls and Steam Vents, but you're leaving your opponent with 3 mana, and you don't know if they have more in their hand or not, which Todd does. So double Stone Ring them is kind of meh. Killing a Tarmogoyf buys you a whole bunch of time.
I mean, I would imagine that, given the pace of play here being pretty slow, I would get the Tarmogoyf off the table. It gives you a lot more freedom with the Relic to just sacrifice to draw cards rather have to use it to manage. And there's no obvious path with the lands here. And Todd also just might be flooding out.
Yeah, Jim's going to take his time here on this decision. This is a very hard one. Now, we know that Ulamog's not going to resolve because Counterflux is in hand. And one thing that can happen to this card is it can be countered.
And I like this play here from Jim. Getting rid of the Tarmogoyf I like. And the Cascade Bluffs is something that he can't boil away and provides mana for both Cryptic Command and Splinter Twin. So if more LD type effects work their way into the equation, that's the most valuable land.
Anderson's going to sacrifice this Scalding Tarn now. Davis empty-handed. And we'll see what kind of Tron player he really is now.
Oh yeah, I mean he's drawn real big here, and Anderson's not up to much.
Nope.
He's just got a Pestermite. He doesn't have the combo, and even if he did have the combo, Davis has to check with Spellskite.
Yeah, Jim has some truly enormous draws.
Todd cannot feel good about his position, even with Jim on 5 cards, because his top decks right now a lot of them are game enders or close to it.
Anderson with an island, not helpful.
And Jim's getting a draw off the Relic if he wants it. He gets, of course, the draw for his turn. And Tron is such a redundant deck. It's only a matter of time.
Let's see what the first draw is going to be. Looks like Anderson's going to go to Pestermite here. He's going to tap down the Forest. I like a redirection here.
The 2 points you think are worth being able to go in your main phase with green in case you draw up something like Ancient Stirrings or Sylvan Scrying?
Peeling Scrying is insane right now because then you get to go get Ayavugan. Ayavugan can start searching for the busted cards in your deck. Ancient Stirrings is a pretty good draw.
Looks like Jim agrees.
And Jim going to fall down to 13. Todd in some trouble here. Didn't get a great look at Jim's draw step. Anderson looking to tie things up and go to Legacy.
Well, if he's separating his lands like this.
Well,
I mean, the coast is clear for him to do his worst right now.
yeah. Going to start by cracking Relic. Get another card. 1 mana floating. Rending Volley. Some redundancy.
Well, Rending Volley is pretty nice alongside the star he just picked up. Insurance against the combo in case something happens to Spellskite. Also, the matchup can weirdly become some sort of damage race at times.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a nice insurance policy to have along with the Spellskite. At this point, he's really only looking at 2 points of damage a turn. Not a whole lot else going on.
I like Jim cycling here quite a bit if he's going to. I like cycling for a red. Get a card deeper into your deck. If you miss, that happens. That's not a miss. That's a hit.
You can see Jim do that's the nod of the head that knows of someone who knows they are very close to winning the Players' Championship with that draw.
That's a hit.
That's the Ugin will play here.
Oh.
Look.
He'll use Rending Volley. And now he'll cast Ugin. And it looks like the elevator's going up on Ugin now.
And Todd does not have a whole lot of ways to remove this from the battlefield.
Nope.
It's basically just Cryptic Command and Spellskite's there to redirect.
Anderson will draw. Ooh, Hinterland Harbor is not it. He's got a Lightning Bolt and 2 lands in hand. And this is the matchup Todd felt the most comfortable in. Now he's just got to pass the turn back over to Davis. Davis going to draw.
And Jim agreed. He chose this format when Todd was on the play here.
Or his tower was the draw. Ugin's going up to 11. Ultimate is next turn. And Davis has that thing protected from even a card like Cryptic Command because of Spellskite. Anderson will draw a copy of Deceiver Exarch.
No good for a number of reasons.
Mm-hmm. Play an island. Pass the turn back. Nothing else he can do. Davis will draw a card. It's a Sylvan Scrying. And he is going to use the ultimate on Ugin. 7 life gain up to 20. 7 cards on the way. Then you can put 7 permanents from your hand onto the battlefield.
Pretty spectacular way here for the Players' Championship to potentially end.
Let's see what Jim Davis does find. Oblivion Stone, Emrakul. Now keep in mind, you don't have to put these cards on the battlefield. You can, which means he can keep Emrakul in his hand.
Just make a bunch of mana and hardcast.
And then hardcast it. And I think that's what we're going to see him do. And with Todd Anderson at 10 life, I don't think he's going to see another turn this weekend. Jim is going to organize the mana. And you can see the look on Anderson's face, resigned to his fate, hoping that Davis has not found it, but he certainly has. Wants to make sure he's got his mana organized all the way. Here's a copy of Emrakul, and that is going to do it. Jim Davis is going to win this match over Todd Anderson 2-1. He is your 2015 Players' Champion.
For someone who was so disappointed with the performance from last year, and for someone who had such a bad run through the modern performance of this event, to be able to buckle down and run the table in Standard with a deck that was totally off the radar, a gutsy call, but one that paid off dividends, was able to also win the Standard match here, and then pull off a huge upset in the modern portion to take this one down 2-0.
A heck of a win here for Jim Davis. A heck of a run. You mentioned it last year did not go the way he wanted. He got it done. He qualified.